All righty, let's hit the record button, get rocking over here, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Hey, welcome to this special Saturday edition of Note Night in America as we dive into over 3,000 non-performing notes that are available for sale. Now, a little bit of a background history on this list. This list was originally 4,200 notes that we actually did a webinar about 2 weeks ago. Yeah, just under 2 weeks ago because we did 2 Mondays ago anyway. And we made a bunch of offers on the stuff, not 1,200 offers, but the fund that was helping the lender sell the stuff came back to us and said, "Hey, Scott, thanks for your offers. We're still reviewing the offers, stuff like that, but there's still 3,000 that didn't get bid on. And feel free to share it with your audience and go through that aspect of things and collect more bids for us if you'd like." So that's what we're doing. We're diving in. These are all first liens. They're all across the United States. The one state they're not in is New York, which is fine by me. Okay. You do have stuff in District of Columbia. Nothing outside the United States. I mean, you have Hawaii, Alaska, nothing in Puerto Rico or stuff like that for you. But we do have a tremendous amount of stuff to go for. Some of these are anywhere from like 90 days late, which are coming up to about 120 days late, all the way up to several years in default. And for those that are part of our WCN crew and one-on-one coaching, you should have gotten a list. I'm going to drop a Google Drive link in the chat roll there for you. So if you're watching live on YouTube, it's going to be in your best interest to go on over to our Zoom call. And you do so by going to notenightinamerica.com. That will take you directly to the Zoom link. And that way you can join in live and get access to the list. If you're just watching on YouTube, and that's great, appreciate you watching, but you're just not going to be able to follow along on the spreadsheet and make any offers unless you don't want to. That's completely fine. You're just here to learn. But I highly encourage you to go to notenightinamerica.com. It's free to register. There's no cost to it. And that way you can access the list. And I don't care if you're making one offer or you're looking to make 100 offers. The great thing about this list is it's one of those things where, hey, you can get rock and rolling and start your note investing journey that way. So once again, go to notenightinamerica.com. We're are monitoring the YouTube for comments, but we'll be focused primarily on those here in the Zoom for it. And if you're listening to this replay, we'll put the link in the actual description for you to go back and look at the list later on for you. But it's probably going to happen after the bids have already been sent in, so you can take a look at it and learn from it. But bids are due this coming Wednesday, so we've got 4 or 5 days to take a look at these, to make some offers on stuff for us. I know that majority of the country, except God's waiting room in Florida, is facing freezing temperatures right now. Hopefully, it stays good with the internet here in Austin, Texas, where I am. Although we are starting to get freezing sleet. It rained all night long here in Austin, Texas, heavy rains, and outside of about 30 minutes ago, and it was starting to sleep pretty good, and I can hear it doing this. Looks like it's a little bit of a break right now, but who knows what'll happen on the internet. So we're going to dive into this and get rock and rolling as long as we'll go, whether we get through the whole thing or internet kicks off. And if internet kicks off, we'll try to pick this back up when the internet comes back on for you. But anyway, be safe out there, stay cool, stay warm inside with us where the hot deals are at versus the cold. No reason to go out deal with toilet stands and trash outs, ladies and gentlemen. Not a fan of that. That's why I get into the note business. I always also want to encourage you guys to get signed up. If you're not already signed up and RSVP'd for our upcoming workshop, February 27th, 28th, and March 1st. That's going to be here in Austin, Texas. It's a live in-person class. Yes, we call it our virtual note buying workshop because you can buy notes virtually from anywhere, from the warmth of your house, which is great without having to do all the work of toilets, stands, and trash it. So get signed up for that class, notebuyingfordummies.com, and RSVP your spot to it right now. Well, we're still running half off. We're at about 25 tickets sold. We're about halfway full on what we want to be at, about 50 seats. So anyway, let's get rocking and rolling for you. If you are here in the Zoom, I've already posted a link in the chat roll. I'll do it one more time for those here that are joining us right now. Folks join us later, I'll try to redo it, but the link is in the chat roll for you guys to click on, follow along. For those that are part of our coaching students, like I said, or our WCN membership, you guys, I posted a list into the Basecamp group a couple days ago for you to take a look at. And let's dive into that. Let's get rock and roll and start talking about this stuff. So let me pull up this list here. Bum, bum, bum. All right. So this list, as you can see, it was basically pulled December 31st. And that's the great thing about this. it was pulled. It's a recent pull. They've removed the bids. So these are, if you made offers on the first round, don't worry, your bids aren't back in here. They should be anyway. They're still reviewing those, and they're just trying to get as many offers as possible. Now, when you get a list that's this big, because this is one of the bigger lists we've received ever. I mean, we've gotten that there've been over 1,000 stuff like this, but 4,000. This is all from one fund. That tells me they're looking to get out of the business they're in, close down. So it's going to be some opportunities for folks. But the thing about these is that they're all over the place when it comes to default rates. And I'll go through how to identify those and break those down in a little bit here for you. Okay. Now, on the previous live stream we did 2 weeks ago, we had already put in default dates, and so you could see what kind of exit strategies are. We left those off. I didn't put any formulas in here. I didn't go in it. So you can actually see me walk through the process of how to structure these deals, how to go through that and identify what I would say is the true deals, the true opportunities in these lists versus getting overwhelmed. Like, where do I begin, right? And we'll go from there. So anyway, let's first go through the loan numbers, the data that the tape was pulled, the street address, city, state, zip. I probably will hide that street address later on here in a little bit. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and hide that right now for you. But if you've got the list yourself, you can take a look at that individually. But city, state, zip, the original balance, the current balance, whether the loan is a fixed or an arm. I think all these are fixed. I think there might be one or two. Yeah, there's a couple arms. There's not many. First lien position, loan type FHVA, original rate, term, remaining term, principal and interest amount. That's an important aspect of things. We're going to go ahead and highlight that one because you're going to want to come back to that in some of the due diligence stuff that we're going to do as far as basically deal flow. So we just want to highlight that one, and we're going to bold that. There we go. Total payment, FICO score, FICO date. Some of these things I'm just going to go ahead and hide. So if we're buying non-performance, I don't really give a rat's ass about the FICO score. Okay, it's helpful, yes, for that. But if we see the original LTV, original CLTV, okay, current LTV, front end debt to income ratio, back end debt to income ratio, don't really care about those. So I'm going to hide those right now, because it's just extra columns. I have going back and through. So the occupancy type. Owner occupied investment, second home, that's okay. Don't really care about that, but what the heck, we'll leave that in there. Let me go and highlight some of these LTV columns that we really don't need right now. All right, so occupancy type, property type, mobile home, single family, that's important. Number of units, that's all. They don't tell us any of that stuff. They're all basically single family homes. There might be some duplexes, triplexes, they put that in here. You see the loan purpose, or if it was refinance type, the type of that, the full document type. Then you've got in these different flags and dates. We're just going to hide those. I don't think they're going to have anything. Yes, they don't have anything in these. We're going to hide those empty columns. Now we have the sales price of the property, which is important, when it was originated. And this is one thing you want to take a look at. Okay, so you can kind of see how far back these things go. Now, right, just looking at, you see 2019, you see 2020. If we just click on the original date, we'll see it goes, anywhere from 2025 last year all the way down to 2012. Okay, so some of these have been in it for quite a while and probably seen quite a bit of appreciation and hopefully some principal write-down. So there's some stuff that you buy with some equity and stuff like that. All right, which is always nice. Sales price. Some of these have a sales price on them when they're originated. Others where there's zero sales price, it's going to be more so of a refinance. Okay. First pay date, paid through date, next pay date. This is important. We're going to highlight this in green. Okay. That's an important number because that shows how far in default they are, right? So if we click on this little drop down, you can see 2020, 2022, 23, 24, 25. So you have some stuff that's now basically 5 to 6 years in default. All right. That's pretty substantial. Why the lender hasn't started foreclosure on these, I don't know. I take that back. They have started. There's a loss mitigation column on here that we can take a look at. Okay. Anyway, going back here, so you have the maturity date. You see if it's an ARM, there's going to be some stuff in that, but we probably, for the most part, just don't need these for right now. We're just going to go ahead and hide these. Okay. Mortgage insurance flag, yeah. Mortgage insurance coverage, mortgage insurance provider. Here's the loan stats. This is an important thing for us to take a look at. And you can see it's a difference of loss mitigation. That means they've already started trying to work with it. Redefault risk, depending on how far to like to see the next pay due date. And this was November of last year. So they're already November, December, January, their default. Come February 1st, they're 120 days. So they're already starting to say it's redefault risk on that. Loss mitigation, they're already working through the bar with some sort of foreclosure action that's active. General population, they're in, I don't know exactly what that means, except it's probably part of their total portfolio, and they're probably looking to get rid of it. Well, they are looking to get rid of it, ladies and gentlemen. It's part of this tape. You even see foreclosure active. I don't have the foreclosure dates on this, but then we also have REOs. Yes, there are some REOs in here where they've already gone through the foreclosure process and taken the asset back. Okay. On our first round, we made a few offers on some REOs that are here in Texas that looked like they're in pretty good shape. And going from now, here's the thing too. People are going to ask me, what's the price point on all these stuff? The price point's going to be your highest and best. Okay. I'm going to give you some general guidelines to go through. Like your REOs, would I make an offer at 60, 65, 70 cents on the dollar, depending on where it's located? That's where I would look at for the REO side. The non-performing note side, when there's equity, I probably need to make somewhere around 70 to 80, maybe even 90 cents on the dollar, depending on how much equity is above and beyond. And how far along in the foreclosure processes depend on the state. If they're underwater, where they owe more than the property's worth, then hey, it's probably 60, 65% of the fair market value is a good starting point. Okay, so those are the kind of the guidelines. We'll run through the columns. We'll readjust the columns, resort them by asset type, how far behind they are, so you guys have a bit of a feel. Because some of these that are 90 to 120 days late, they're not going to be great non-performing notes to make offers on. But they will be good deals if you're targeting like subject-to deals, potentially where you could reach out to the borrower. You're not going to buy the note at a big discount, but maybe you can take over the payments because the interest rate is low, make up the 3 months behind, and then structure those deals that way to turn around and do a wraparound mortgage or a lease option if you're outside of Texas and that kind of stuff. Okay. You see some of these are in bankruptcy. You can see active or non-active foreclosure status. What is this? The pay strings. I don't really care about their. I mean, you can see if we stretch these out. You can maximize this. Let's just go ahead and stretch these out. Let's just shrink it. Anyway, they're behind. We'll just look at the date. Then you see DQ 1 by 30, 1 by 60, 1 by 90. They're all vacant. They're usually filled in, but since they have such a big mix, so we're going to just no prepayment penalties, no defects, no. We're going to hide those. And that's when you get here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. I've seen people break down crying when they get it split because they don't know where to begin. The first thing is to go ahead and get rid of all the stuff that you don't need to waste your time with. And that's what I'm kind of doing, hiding these columns. I don't need to take a look at them. They're not going to determine my, let's see, the foreclosure begin date. It's blank. So if it's a blank column like that, just go ahead and hide it or delete it. Okay. Escrow advance, you can see, what they've advanced. Most of these are going to be property taxes and insurance. You can see loan modification status, first legal date if they started working with a borrower. That's kind of important. The AVM value. They're not going to pull BPOs on these, so we're just going to adjust this and turn this into a dollar amount. Confidence score, they pulled an AVM, like an automated valuation model, which is basically they probably just pulled Zillow and their confidence score on. The date, you can see these were all pulled back in December. Total corporate advances, interest advance, interest range, and then the WAC calculation. Weighted average, I don't know what that stands for. I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't need to know. See, maybe that's their legal balance. I don't know. I don't think so, especially with the AVM value of 392. So I'm just going to go ahead and hide that for the right now. Okay. All right. So now the one thing we don't have on this is the borrower's name. So the borrower's first and last name, you'll want to go double check that at the county by looking at the assessor's website and doing an address search. I've hidden the addresses so I don't get this video kicked off of YouTube. All right. For bullying in a lot of things. So like I said, if you're interested in getting this full spreadsheet, reach out to me. Go register at notenightinamerica.com. Shoot me an email. And once we go through it, we'll shoot you the spreadsheet and stuff like that. I just don't want to blast. I'm not going to blast this out to my big, huge database. And no, we're looking for buyers only, no wholesalers, no joker brokers. We don't need that. We want you making offers directly on this stuff. Okay. If you haven't bought a note before, reach out to me. We can help you find a note on here because the values are, if you look at the original balance on this stuff and the current balances on this stuff, this goes anywhere from $105, which we don't want to waste our time, but 36, there's some smaller balance stuff on here, which if it's not performing, that's could be some ideal little deals for you guys to make some offers on, get them reperforming. So anywhere from that 36,000 up to 1.7 million. So there's some high priced assets on here, okay? But anywhere from, let's say, $105, I think that's just an error there, but we'll get rid of that one anyway. But anyway, so now that we have this kind of cleaned up a little bit as far as the columns, all right? The next thing I would do is let's go here and make some of these that are dollars and turn them into dollars. Is people would say, well, Scott, don't you want to get rid of the states you don't want to invest in? Yes, I do. We'll get to that in a second. All right. And we'll give this, but what we want to do is first organize this kind of as far as how far behind they are. So we can separate these off into non-performing notes, REOs, and then also potential sub-2 deals. Okay. So I'm just going to go over here. It's filtered. I'm going to custom sort it again by last pay date or next due. All right. So data has headers. Sort by not first pay date, pay through date, or next pay date. Let's do next pay date. And we're going to do oldest to newest. That's fine. All right. So they're all one thing. Let's unmerge. It says there's some cells in here merge. So we're going to fix these real fast. Where's our merge? Let's try it again here. There we go. I don't know what happened with that, but anyway, it worked fine that time. Okay, so now, all right, so now we have, it should be oldest to new. So we go over here. Okay, so next pay date right here. So you see this one here, 9/1/2020. This is the oldest one on here. They paid through, they paid for 4 years and stopped performing. And then refinanced. Okay. So now that we have this reorganized by that, this is in Berlin, Connecticut, Pinconning, Michigan, Lexington, South Carolina, Jamestown, Indiana, Berwyn, Illinois, Red Oak, Texas. You can kind of see some of the stuff. So let's go down here and look at this stuff. All right. So go over here. Next pay date. These are all going to be non-performing. 9/23. January 24th. So we're going to go down till we hit like 2025. All right. So we're in March, April. And what I would do is the non-performing side, we want to see really probably 6 months in default or greater. Anything under 6 months, 3 to 6 months, those are probably going to be more ideal for your subject-to deal. So I like to look at stuff that's at least 6 months old. So this was pulled in December. The next pay date on these that we get down here would be like October. Our next pay date would be November, December, January. So we're looking for 10/1/2025. Okay. So I'm gonna keep going down here. So July, I got a lot in July, August. See, a lot of these we're getting close. The 4 months, actually 6 months would be not now. Sorry, it would be July. My apology. Well, if we come up on February, it would be yes, it'd be July. So if we're looking at anything, next pay date is they paid through July. Okay, there we go. So now we're at these. These are the non-performing. 1,251 really non-performing ones, okay? So we're going to go over here. We're going to insert a column on this. So we're looking at 1,251, insert a column. We're going to say exit strat. Okay. 1251. And we're going to say NPN. Okay. Now we're going to copy that all the way up. We're just going to go all the way up and copy that so we have an idea, be able to go over, like, okay, so I'm looking for non-performing notes. Here's the strategy. Okay. Now I'm going to go back and change that up a little bit too by how far default. Like, so if they get beyond a year, it's probably your main strategy and probably to foreclose in a lot of cases, or really beyond 2 years. Let's put it that way. You get beyond 2 years, you're going to probably see most of these are already in the foreclosure process of some sort. Okay. And that's not saying you can't work with the bar, get them back on track. We don't know the story, what happened, what their country western song is, but as you guys all know, that if you're looking at where they really get beyond 2 years in non-performing status, they're really not going to come back to the table, right? Just not going to do it. All right. So 1251. All right. So that's non-performing. So we go back over here to our list of where they're at, 1251. All right. So 12. So these here that are August to new, because the list was pulled, member in December 31st, that's probably more so that's that 6 month concept where we're at right now, right? Those could be non-performing, it could be subject to. So that's what I kind of identified these as the better ones to target for subject to deals. Okay, so we're going to just scroll down. That should even maybe take us the rest of the way. Yeah. So 11/1, next pay date's 11/1. Yeah. Okay. So we'll go over to the column over here. And by subject to, what am I talking about? Well, what I would do, I would send out a letter to the borrowers trying to get to take it over. If they can't make their mortgage payments, they're going to face foreclosure, depending on what state they're in. I mean, they're technically that 6 month or less window in a lot of cases. Now, some of them could be decent notes, but for the most part, I'm going to say these are going to be ideally your deals to take over via subject to. So that's roughly about 1,800, notes that are fall in that category. Now we'll go back in here and take a look at where they're at in the foreclosure process too, and that'll help us separate some of the stuff out too for you for REOs and those that are pretty much a dead giveaway foreclosures. Okay, so just give me a second here, and I'm just kind of want to walk you through this whole process that we do when we're breaking down a tape. Now I don't get, would I look at the stuff in my state that I'm interested in? Yeah, I could pull that, look at everything in Texas or Indiana or Florida. We haven't even looked at broken it down state by state yet, and we'll probably do that a little bit more here over the weekend and posting some of the different maps of the assets. I think, there was 425 in Texas when we first got this list a couple weeks ago, over 400 in California. A chunk, there's some opportunity here, but you got to take a look at this stuff, and we're not just going to blast it out. All right, so thanks for being here, guys. All right, so those are potential sub 2 deals because they're that 6 month or less. Does that make sense? Everybody understand that? Feel free to comment in the chat roll if that makes sense for you guys. Okay, now that we've got that, now let's go over here to more information on the loss mitigation side as well. All right, so we're going over the loss mitigation side. They're going to tell us where they're at. Okay, so let's change the loan status here and change some of the stuff up. Okay, let's first just go to the REO side. Okay, REO. And out of those, let's see how many are REOs in here. Let's go down here. All right, so there are 119 REOs. Okay, great. We're going to go over and label these as REOs as well. So that's our strategy. It keeps you, because if it's already an REO, you're not going to get that bar back to the table. Just not going to happen. All right, we're going to copy that down for the 119 of them. So if you're looking for REOs, there you go. Great. Okay, now let's go back over here. Now, in some of these where they're way behind, where they're in BK, we're going to highlight the BKs as well, because those can become reperforming notes. Okay. All right, so let's do this. Actually, let's look at the foreclosures next, the active foreclosures. So foreclosure, let's see here. We'll talk about that later on. So foreclosure, let's just first look at that. They're active foreclosures. And there wasn't there a foreclosure date on these? Yeah, first legal date. You can start seeing where they started the foreclosure process on these. Some of these are go back a little bit of a ways, and that's okay. So 25, 24. Some of them don't have a date yet. On these may be relatively new when it comes to foreclosure. So you see active foreclosures on these. All right. So you see that active and some have been suspended. So they've stopped the foreclosure process. Maybe it's because it's a loss. Yeah, let's look at that real fast. So if you see foreclosure and says suspend, let's see if there is loan. Let's just say active and suspend. Hit okay. All right, suspended the foreclosure. Let's see if there's a loss mitigation column here. No, no, yes, yes, no, 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 yes, active and loss mitigation. Okay, so they're trying potentially to work it out with a borrower. Okay, that's not so bad. But let's just go ahead and we'll tag those. All right. So we got just for the foreclosures. We're gonna go down here and label those NPN/foreclosure. And I'm just gonna say FC. Because that's the thing. If the bank's already started the foreclosure process, you can step in and finish that out. And in some states, like Florida, where it's a year plus to, it can be a year plus to foreclose. If they're already started a year ago, you may be able to step into an REO pretty relatively easy. If that's your bag. You know what I mean? Like in Texas, if they already started the foreclosure process, shit, I'll jump on that pretty much C sub two foreclosure. So we're just gonna change that up because it hits a different aspect of things. They've already started it. Okay. So now that we have really the three basic things, if it's short, we'll try to drive into the sub two base. If you already see the foreclosure has been started, hey, that's a foreclosure. Buy that note, finish the foreclosure, and borrower's not being receptive. If they haven't started the foreclosure process, it may be a possibility to step in, work it out with the homeowners in some sort of loan modification, payment plan, TPPs, how you would start it off with before you loan mod it all the way. And then of course, if it's an REO, then hey, just buy the real estate and go from there. Okay. So now that we have that all done, let's go back here and put all 3,200 of them to them. Okay, so now we have the foreclosures. So now we have all 3,000 of these notes. There's active FHA, workout, BK relief granted. Oh, let's do that. Let's do the BK and BK relief granted. Hit okay, because that's another important thing to keep in mind. The borrowers are trying to stay in their house. Okay, so let's go over here. So NPN. So we're going to say NPN on this one. NPN sub 2. Okay, so NPN. This is going to be the BK. So you might be able, if BK's been followed, you may be able to step into a 5-year loan mod right off the bat there, or a payment plan, which is always a good thing. So we're going to copy that down because that's a different little bit of strategy because the borrower's trying to stay in there or relief has been granted. So there's maybe some sort of BK payment plan there. See sub 2, so they file a BK to stay in there. That doesn't surprise me. Well, that's a good thing because you got a borrower that wants to stay in there. Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay. All right, that's good. All right, so now prior 60-day default REO. Okay, so we're gonna leave that in there. All right, so now let's go ahead and slice and dice. Let's get rid of some of the stuff on here that just doesn't make sense. The first thing we're gonna do is let's look at the current balances. Okay, if they're really low balances, don't waste your time on them. All right, so let's look at these. So there's really only one. It's really kind of let's look at anything under 50 grand. Whoops, not all of them. Come on. All right, what's going on here? There we go. Current balances, select all. We're getting under 50 grand. Actually, hang on. Come on. There we go. All right. Now, spreadsheet's so big, it takes a little while. Okay, there we go. So let's look at the ones that are where these are located, these low balances. And basically anything under 50 grand, I'm gonna look at real fast, just in case of it. Okay. So low balances, this one in Johnson City, Tennessee. It's an REO. Oh, okay, it might be an REO to take a look at. Johnson City, Tennessee. I think it's outside of Nashville. If they foreclosed on it, then let's leave that in there. Tyler, Texas, they only owe 43. We'll leave that in there. Kennett, Missouri, Dante, Virginia, Green. So, okay, so I don't mind leaving these there. If you start getting like 5 grand, 10 grand, but this one kind of interests me on the Johnson City, Tennessee, on the value of it. We'll look at that one a little bit later on. So the low balance side, we're going to leave them all in there for the heck of it. Okay. Okay. There we go. All right. Now, just so you have a bit of an idea, let's look at the interest rates on these. So you have a bit, you can take a gander at the rate. So the rates on these go anywhere from 5%. So you don't really have a lot of like low, I mean, 5% is still a low rate, okay? But you've got 5% all the way down to 8.75. Okay. So on these categories of buying these potential exit strategies, yeah, some of these, or they're sub twos, you're not going to be buying the note. You're probably going to be more so working to take over that loan. And then your exit strategy on that is to you take over the payments, then you either turn it into a rental, you do a lease option. My preferred strategy, so you're not dealing with toilet stands and trash outs, isn't do a lease ownership, is to basically turn around and owner finance it. Somebody get 10% down, at least or more. You're financing it on an interest rate, I would say at 9% or higher, depending on where they're at. I wouldn't go above 10. When you start running to 10, you run into a little bit of difficulty. And then you're arbitraging the difference. 10% down, that down payment is going to go towards probably making up some of the back payments. Okay. And then you're arbitraging on a monthly P&I payment difference between what the underlying note is and then what your new owner finance wrap is at. And to make it simple, I just figured, okay, I'm going to owner finance it somewhere around 9.97, 9.9, 10% interest only. So I can calculate the payments relatively easy. If they want P&I payments to be a little bit higher, but this is kind of the lowest of the low. Most people are going to look at a budget when they're going to get into it. How can I get into it? So I don't mind doing interest only payments for folks because in most cases, the value is going to go up in a lot of cases. Now, we all know there's an article out recently talking about how the top 50 markets have seen some sort of depreciation value. Austin actually led that with a 6% depreciation. I think it's a correction, not a true market crash. It'll come back up. And the idea here, ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for quick hits, then focus on the REOs. Okay. That's the thing I would say. Look at the REO side and go from there. I mean, if one thing that we could always do here to make it kind of fun. All right, let's do this. Let's go to the strategy here. Let's just change these to REO. Okay. And let's do this. Let's unhide column D real fast. And now what we're going to do is do this. As we're copied that, now we're going to go over to batch geo. Batch geo. You're going to drop this into map it. Set options. Single by original balance. Hit make map. Come on. Oh, come on. It's supposed to be. It was working just the other day here. Let's do this again. Oh, see, done. There we go. So set options. Yeah, make map. Ah, so I got to do incognito window. What we do? Come on, the thing just worked the other day. It's my luck. Well, you can go here and map it. See, it mapped it. Okay, so let's see. Let's try to do this. So made map. Yeah, don't want to do light. Ah, anyway, you'd map it all out, take a look at it. I'll get to that later on and mess around with it a little bit more. But anyway, there you go. So let's go back to you'd map it and then say, hey, I got 119 REOs. That's one way to look at it. That's what we're going to do. Hey, if anybody's looking for an REO, I'll look for REO agents. People have buyers, stuff like that all day long for folks. But there you go. There's your REO side of things. Now, here's the thing. Let's get rid of the states we don't want to buy in. Okay. Now that we've looked at this, now here's the thing. If you want to type in the chat roll your state that you'd like to buy in. So if you're looking at, say, Connecticut and you want to buy in Connecticut, great. We'll leave it in there. But in some of these states, we're just going to get rid of the ones where they're not very good. Like the ones that like Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, Washington State, Oregon. We'll leave the California in there for the most part, but we'll get rid of like the New Jersey one. So let's just start off with the states that we don't want to buy in. Okay. All right. And we're going to get rid of Illinois. Okay. Just don't want to waste our time in that state for right now. All right. So we don't want Illinois. We don't necessarily, let's leave DC out of this. All right. Alaska, we don't need ICE. Alabama, since these are, you can go back and look at these yourself, but since they've got a 1-year redemption period, if you have to foreclose, I'm not going to waste my time. Arkansas, yes. Arizona, yes. Colorado, yes. Connecticut, Delaware. Florida's got a lot, so we'll leave it in there. Georgia, okay. Hawaii, we're going to get rid of because it's way too far out for us right now. Iowa, Idaho, Indiana, Kansas, can get rid of Kentucky. We're going to get rid of Louisiana because it's a longer foreclosure process. Massachusetts, we're going to get rid of for right now. Maryland's okay. Maine, okay. We got Judy Richards up there to take a look at some of that stuff. Michigan, Minnesota, we're going to get rid of right now because it's the long redemption period. If you foreclose, it takes a year there's a year redemption period in Minnesota. We don't want that. Missouri, Mississippi, let's see, Montana, North Carolina, North Dakota, Nebraska, New Hampshire, and New Jersey, we'll get rid of. New Mexico will leave. Ohio, Oregon, we don't want. Oh, there is a couple in Puerto Rico, but we'll get rid of that. We'll come back to that. Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Washington State we'll get rid of. We're going to get rid of Wisconsin just because of the high taxes. And West Virginia, we'll get those. So we're going to highlight those. Okay. Tuscaloosa, there you go. Roll Tide, Shreveport. So if you see something in here you like, great. If you don't worry about it. You can always go back to the spreadsheet after you've deleted it off. Okay. Yeah, some of these are, REOs. Let's see here. I have this sort out. Lafayette, Alabama. Okay. Dalton. So some of these are REOs, and that's fine. It's okay. If you want to target those, go target those. But for the sake of what we're doing right now, we're just going to get rid of those. They don't necessarily want to own real estate in those areas. All right. Yes, I'm getting rid of a bunch of Subject-Tos in those same states as well. All right. All right. So now with that, where are we at as far as assets to look at? Now we've narrowed it down to okay, so we got rid of 500 notes, just like that. We got rid of a chunk that we don't want to waste your time with. Okay, that's fine. We looked at low balances. Now let's get rid of the higher balances. Okay. Like the million for what you can buy. Let's re-rank these here. Okay, custom sort. And the reason I want to get rid of high balances is I don't want to waste my time on the high ends. Oh, actually, let's look at values. Let's just be easy. Let's just look at values. All right, so original term, current arm, current balance. We'll go to the AVM side. The reason I'm getting rid of $1 million property, unless you're in that neck of the woods, those things are going to drag out, okay? And not necessarily going to get, I just don't think it makes a lot of sense for what you can do with one note with $1 million if you're buying it when you could buy a block. You get what I'm saying, everybody? Pay string, penalty, escrow, AVM value. And we're going to do largest to smallest. All right, so you see California, Bernie, Texas, $1 million. All right, California, Ohio, Kemp, Texas. Yeah, we're just going to get rid of those. Anything over $1 million. This doesn't make sense for us right now. I mean, really, I would get rid of anything over 750, but that's my choice. So we're going to go down and see, yeah, we've got quite a few of these that are higher. Whoops. Hang on. Where's the values on these things? Is it? Yeah, there we go. So AVM value. There we go. So, okay. All right. I forgot to go the wrong one. Okay. So 14 high. Let's get rid of anything. Let's go 750 or higher, just because that's a little harder play. 750 or higher. That's going to get rid of 60 of them. Now, if you want to go the higher end, go the higher end. There we go. All right. So we got rid of a few more. So it leaves us with 2,447. Okay. All right. So there's that. So AVM value. Thanks, Matt Martineau. Okay. Where's balance, current balance? Oh, let's get rid of the values. Let's switch these up. See some of these if they have low values. Custom sort, so we can change it. Largest to smallest. Let's do smallest to largest. That's one thing I'm going to do. Okay. All right. So they got some that was zeros in here because they haven't pulled the values on them. So that's fine. Okay. But let's start looking at these ones where they're under $50,000 to see where they're at. There's only a few. These are probably mobile homes. Loss mitigation, redefault, loss mit, redefault. So they're kind of in that process of sub-twos. Let's see where they're located. Fritch, Texas, Saginaw, Michigan, Lakeland, Georgia, and Greenwood, Mississippi. They're just lower values. They're all upside down, right? Upside down. Like this one, the current balance is 181, but the AVM value over here is only 39. Not in a very good spot, right? Now, we could go back in and say it's upside down. It's not really a sub-2 deal. I don't want to take over a $180,000 mortgage when it's only worth 40. So let's rank these. We'll look at equity next and readjust that. So we'll get rid of more than one at a time. Okay. Let's just get rid of it. We're here. Let's get rid of these that are under. Okay. Yeah. All right. So go back over here to the values. There's the ones that say 0 on there. We'll leave them because they just didn't pull them. Okay. Now, another thing to think about is when you look at asset type, if you don't want to own mobile homes, let's go to the property type and get rid of the mobile home side of things. Okay. Property type. So All right, so let's get rid of mobile home. They got prefab. Let's click on that. Everything else is townhome, single home, other. We'll leave other in there for right now. Prefab home, prefabricated. So maybe it's a modular. I don't know. Let's look and see. They're all over the place. So let's just take a gander. Let's look at this one in Canyon Lake, Texas. That's just down the street from here, about an hour. Whoops. Let me share my screen back. Okay. Prefab, but it's a modular home. Well, do we have anything here? Yeah, it's not so bad for a lake house in Canyon Lake if there's any lake left. It's a double wide. Some people like that, other people don't. I wouldn't say no to that one because it's out in the lake, depending on the view. If there is any lake, Canyon Lake is pretty dry. So I'm not opposed to that. So it says sold. When did it sell? See, it sold March 14th, 2024. Okay, so if we go back here to the spreadsheet on that one, that's what to take a look at. So you see here, March. All right, so this is interesting to take a look. Canyon Lake. Purchase it full doc, see March 14th. So they've already defaulted on this thing. They were into it for 18 months, defaulted on. So that's, see, they paid through. So basically, it's probably because they bought it as an Airbnb with a lake view, and there's no lake view because the lake view has gone away. So I actually will leave that in there. Okay. I'll leave that. It's not so bad. It's not so bad at all. That's a possibility there for you, for me. So I'll leave that in there. Okay. So now let's go through here and re-rank these by those that have equity. Okay. So let's do this. Let's go back and change. Let's just leave them all in there. For some of you, that would be ideally for you to get rid of. Okay. Let's look at condos. See how many condos are in here. Some people are like, I don't want condoms. Those with the extra HOA. And there's a chunk of condominiums in here. Well, not as many. Where are these located? California, Florida. You might want to get rid of the Florida ones just for the heck of it. Florida, Winter Haven, Arkansas. Not so bad. We'll leave those in there then. I mean, you got a lot to choose from, right, ladies and gentlemen? I'm not opposed to condominiums, especially when I'm buying the note. It's not me that is going to be paying that condo association fee. It's going to be actual, borrowers on that stuff. Okay, so let's look at those that have equity and no equity now. All right, so what I like to do is let's just insert here. Escape. Insert, and we're going to say equity. All right, and we're going to also do another column here and just say equity position, equity percentage. Okay, now this is pretty simple to do. You're going to need to figure out legal balance. They didn't give a legal balance in here. So legal balance would be taking the current balance plus the number of months behind payment start. We can get to that later on. Actually, let's do it while we're here. We might as well do this now with everybody. Okay, so let's go over to here when the last payment made, next pay date. We're going to custom sort that again. Go in here, next pay date. And we're going to start this newest to oldest. All right, so the next pay date, so we're going to say insert. Number of months behind. This would be really easy. So November, December, January, let's just say February. We'll just say 4 months by the time you get around to making an offer. So four enters. All right, so now we're going to copy that down until we get to 5 months. See, there are a whole lot of these that are just 4 months behind. That's why I say they're ideal for potential sub-2 stuff. All right, we're still at November. 500. Oh, here we go. Control B, it's 4 months. Now we change this to 5 months. Copy that down. Until we hit still at October. Oh, there we go. 6 months. And the reason is that since they don't have a legal balance on here, you really need to know how far behind they are if it's a potential sub-2 deal, and also based on the legal balance, what's the true value of the property? Is there equity? Is there negative equity? Because we all know borrowers think they've got a ton of equity because they think the value of their house is as high as, Zillow shows it. Well, when you figure, okay, the current unpaid balance plus legal fees plus corporate advances, that will eat up a lot of your equity, right? 6, 7, so we're about a third of the way through the list. And this is tedious, but it's something to think about. You could actually take this video and probably give it to a VA if you're getting tapes like this and help you with a breakdown aspect of it. Okay, things to get rid of. Of course, you would probably highlight just the states you want to look at. Now, for the sub-2 stuff, I'm really probably just going to look at the stuff in Texas, Indiana, um, Ohio, and Michigan for me. Why those states? Because I like them. Um, I've got teams up there that I trust. That's the biggest thing I'm going to do anything. I want to make my business as less where it requires as little from me going out and traveling to a place. Okay. You're right. I don't mind here in Texas. It's actually sometimes nice to drive on the property. Like there's some here in Georgetown, near me, 30 minutes away in Georgetown, or 20 minutes away. There's a couple. I think the nearest one's less than 10 minutes away from me. Well, we got videos and case studies that we'll be doing breaking down. And that's what you want to do too, as well, ladies and gentlemen, is if you see something on here, hey, share it. Share. You don't got to share the address of the asset, but take a picture. Say, hey guys, I'm working on something in Canyon Lake, Texas. It's, we could do an overhead view, see how far it is from the water. I don't mind owning a Canyon Lake. So next pay date 9. Yeah, so they paid for it. Yeah, we're coming on a year. That's right. Okay, so 12. See, this is going to go down to March. Let's just start changing quite a bit now. 12 months, 13 months. The idea is getting rid of some stuff that, like I said, you don't want to take a look at. I've left more on here than I probably would. But we got folks joining us from all across the country. And I know we got some folks that are interested in California stuff too. So there you go. We left that California when I'd probably get rid of most of the time. I've bought in California. It's fine. I don't want to own anything in California these days. It's a little bit longer process because if it's an owner occupant, which most of this is, it's going to be a judicial foreclosure. And it's just for what I can buy something in California, I can buy a whole lot more and leverage my money a whole lot smarter. 15 months, 16 months. You start to see that it's starting to got about 800 left to do. This is why I did this last time ahead of time, bigger tape. But some people are like, how'd you figure that out? Well, I just looked at the next due. What questions do you guys have right now while I'm doing this? Anything popping up? Anything questioning my madness or what your focus is? People have asked me, like, how long do I expect them to, once your bid's accepted for due diligence? I would say, 2 weeks for due diligence and 2 to 3 weeks for due diligence. I mean, you're getting accepted, and then a week or two to fund. So you may have a month if you're buying one or two, and go from there. Yeah, so you're starting to come up on 2 years here. 4 months, 25 months, 26 months, 27 months, 28 months, 29. Yeah, that's you're gonna start seeing this stuff jump pretty fast. 30 months, 30, 31, 32 months, 33, 5. Okay, so it jumps from 4 to 12, so that's 43 months. Another 9 months, that's 58, 51, so 52. And it's still, oh, it jumps 2 years then, right? So 52 plus 24 is 76 months. All right. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So now you've got these. Okay. So here we go. So now you have the number of months behind. Okay. So let's go to their P&I payment. There we go. P&I payment. Let's do cert. Back payments. This is going to be equal to their P&I payment times the number of payments back past due. All right, so number of months behind. If they're 4 months behind, they're paying. That's right. So we're going to make that a dollar sign and copy that all the way down now, that formula. This is the one that's 70 months behind. It's going to be a substantial amount. And that's the thing is, if you don't have a legal balance, it's pretty easy to figure out a total legal balance. Back payments too, then we'll add that plus the reserves recoverable column. So do taxes that the lender has paid on behalf of them. Then we'll take that total number, add that to the UPB. Then you have a true legal balance aspect of things. Know exactly where they are in the legal side for the most. And it's still going to be off a little bit, but that's kind of what we've done before. Like we were making some offers recently in some reverse mortgages that they wanted, 90 cents on the dollar of unpaid balance. So we had to figure out what the legal balance was, and that made our offers a little bit, we could accept a higher percentage of UPB because the legal balance was quite a bit higher. And we are going here. All right. Now, if you don't want to own any notes and you don't want to be buying anything, raising capital, then I would straight go the sub 2 route, where you're marketing it out to the borrowers. Okay, there we go. Take over their payments, and then marketing for owner finance buyers in your area, Craigslist, Backpay, whatever you're doing to do that. Okay, so we got back payments due now. All right, so we got, let's go over here to, let's do current balance, and we're going to insert, let's do this, insert, and we're going to say estimated legal val. Okay, so this is going to be your, let's go over here to the lender advanced and lender recoverable. So escrow advance, recoverable advance, third party advanced. Okay. So we're going to do recoverable advance, shift plus back payments plus current balance. And there you go. $3,000 behind, or 2,500 behind. No on that. Now we have that number in there. This was great. So now we can figure equity. Okay, so if we take now what they figure is an AVM value. Now, some of these, they don't have an AVM value. We'll just leave that there. If they say zero, we'll go back to, and do another formula for that. Okay, AVM value minus estimated legal balance is that. Okay. And if we take equity, divide that. Okay, that divided by the taking legal balance or the equity and divide that by AVM value, that'll give you a rough percentage. Divide by zero. Some of these are going to be zero because they don't have any values, but we'll show you a different way how to structure those real fast, okay? So let's just copy these three formulas down because that's going to be the most pain in the ass thing. So I don't have to copy, I can copy 3 columns at a time versus 1 column at a time. All right. And that's the most pain in the ass when you've got a big spreadsheet like this. It's just going down. That's why you slice and dice and get rid of as much as you can for the most part. Yeah, I should probably go back and get rid of some of the stuff, but for the most part, we're still going to need equity and values and that stuff. So that's the important thing. If I just want to, in a second, I'll just filter it by the non-performing side and we'll do that work. And then we'll go back and refilter it by the sub-2 side and run numbers for that, as we did last time. Where are you joining us? I didn't ask this on the front end side, but if you're watching this on YouTube or Zoom, tell me what part of the country are you joining us from, and what's the temperature where you're at? Tell us the city, state, and the temp, so I have an idea where folks are at. I am in Austin, Texas, and it is a chipper 31 degrees Fahrenheit here in Austin, North Austin. So you can start getting slick out there really fast. And we got most of our plants in 2 days ago. All right, so the ones that we don't, where we have this big negative number, or divide by 0, we'll readjust it. I'll show you a second here. Okay, so I knew, yep, Judy, Portland, Maine, 9 degrees. Woo, it's cool. Good stuff. All right. All right, let's change this up here. Let's filter for the divide by 0. Okay, so all right. So now we've just got the divide by 0 ones, the ones that have no value on there. Okay. So what we're going to do is change the formula up a little bit. Okay. So instead of it being BV2, So we're going to hit this is equal to, let's go over here and find the original sales price. That's a better, okay. So now, and then this is going to be is equal to that divided by the sales price. Because if we don't have an AVM, we can see at least it's probably the value is probably about the same for the most part. Okay. All right, that should help us with it now. Okay. So now let's copy these two formulas out. Control C. And now we can take it down to the rest. And that will give us a little bit of an idea of equity. Of course, we know values can go up, values can go down, but this is going to help us figure that out. Now, some of these aren't going to have, still going to have 0 because there's probably no purchase price on it. No sales price. And no AVM value. So you're still going to have to figure that out yourself. And that's fine. It's quite all right. Okay. But now we have that. We're going to change that to a percentage. Now we can say, all right, what's got equity? What doesn't have equity? All right. Okay. Which ones can we dive into? All right. What kind of price point can we make on the non-performing foreclosure side of things? Okay. So now let's go over here and we're going to custom. Let's do this. What do we want to do? Because we've got multiples, the bankruptcies, the NPNs, with equity, no equity. So we're going to resort this by equity percentage. Actually, we're going to sort it by equity percentage. So we know it's positive. Yeah, let's do equity dollar amount. I mean, if we do equity percentage, it'll still work out fine. Back payments, not the units number. There we go. Equity percentage. And we're going to do largest to smallest. Okay. If these divided by zeros, you'll have to go and pull those yourself. But anyway, start seeing where they've got some large equity side of things. Okay. That's pretty good. 43%. And a lot of these have negative. Oh, what did I just do? Did I not filter it properly by something? Oh, that helps if I do this. There we go. Now it's probably right. Let's make this a percentage. That's better. They're all sitting at percentages. Now, okay. So now let's go back and resort it now. Custom sort. Make percentage large, small. Okay. That looks better. Okay, now 85% equity. Yeah, that's that one. That's an REO size. So we're just going to put that one in there as a green one for. It's not really. Yeah, it's got a lot of equity, but and all right. So 82, 79%. We want to take this down to where we start seeing like under 10%. You know, or really, yeah, under 20 grand for the most part. So they got a little percentage. So let's do by dollar amount. Let's be more accurate. Percentages, who cares? That's better. Equity dollar amount. Okay. Now all are divided by zeros, or the ones that didn't have a number are going to be at the way at the bottom because they have negative, right? See, 5 by 0 divided by 0, negative. Okay, that's perfect. Okay. Now we have something we work with, right? So now that we have the percentage and where they're at, we can kind of run a number and say, okay, if they got a lot of equity and it's a non-performing note, then we can say, let's insert this here. And then we can say, price point. purchase pricing guide. All right, so this is going to be equity. So if they got a ton of equity, let's just say figure 80% of. Now you can adjust that too, stuff like that. But 80% of legal, okay? Because they have equity, a lot of equity, okay? I'm going to change that from legal to LB. All right, so now we're going to copy that down until we start seeing the under 20 grand. And some of these aren't going to make sense to buy the note. It's just not. All right, and that's okay. So let's take these down to under 50 grand. Actually, we'll do it to 25 grand. As we know, adjustments can change in some of these pretty fast. Okay. Okay, there's that. And the ones that have basically little equity to negative equity, we're just going to say 65% of FMV. Okay. Yeah. That's a question. Because basically, they owe more than the property's worth, or at it, we're not going to bid off UPB. If they owe 150 and it's only worth 100, well, you're going to bid off the 100 fair market value. Okay. So that's going to, there's over, I mean, basically half the list is negative equity. And that's okay. That's good. But a lot of it's small. You see like 3 to 6 months. So they have a little bit of negative equity, but that's okay. That works well for us, potentially making some decent offers on these. So I'm just copying these all down. And then what's going to happen at the very end down here, we're going to run into that divide by 0. Yep, see divide by that. So we're just going to throw that in there. Control D. Okay. All righty. Now this numbers can change if we have a fair market value. Okay. And let's just do the divide by 0 real fast. We can put a disclaimer in there. Mean value. That's better. Boom. That helps us. Okay. All right. So now that we have a pricing guide, now we can run just some quick numbers. And let's go ahead, insert a couple columns. Okay. We'll just say offer. Now, let's go over here and change this. We don't REO. So let's take the REOs out of here real fast. REOs, let's change it to say 65% of value. And we're going to copy that down because it's an REO. You don't know what kind of condition. Could be good, could be bad. But we're not going to be buying the note on those. So there's no reason to run it for a note purchase. We're just going to run a quick number on here and see if it makes sense. Okay. And that is going to be is equal to the fair market value. And we can copy that formula all the way down now for those few, 119 of them. And we're gonna make that column green. All right. Now let's go back here and change these up now. So we have the rest, except the REOs. Well, the sub-twos, we're not going to offer this, so we can change the sub-twos. We'll leave that out. That makes it easier for us. Okay, so now, this is the note stuff. Now we can go in here and say, okay, it's equal to legal balance times 80, 0.8, which is to a dollar amount. That, you know, if they've got 50 to 100 grand in equity, they're not going to really go below that. All right. They might. Oh, sorry. I got sidetracked there. There we go. 80% of legal balance. I would click off it, do something else. All right, so we're just go back that. And that's for, you know, okay. We'll run a calculation in a second here. Control V. Okay, now 65% of FMV is equal to your times 0.65. That's better. What? This again is equal to our AVM value over here. Let's do this again. Times 0.65. There we go. If it's $100,000 value, we're making 65 or 103. That's accurate now. Okay. So now let's copy that formula down for the rest of what we have. Okay, so one's where it says need value to put anything in there. That's fine. Perfect. So now you have offering on that. Okay, so now we can now figure out, okay, what's our potential ROI if they rock and roll? Okay, so now we have this. Let's get rid of this lien. These are all first liens. Yeah. All right, so total payment, FICO. There we go. Let's do this insert here. 12 months. P&I. They pay the just 12 months of payments. Let's figure this next one in here. 12-month ROI percentage. Insert in here. 16 months P&I. If they bring 4 months to the table, because most of these are going to be at least 4 months behind, if not longer, obviously, right, everybody? And then let's do the 16-month ROI percentage. All right, so now that we have those 4 columns, we can figure the calculation. So these are going to be real easy. So he's just going to go over here and say, okay, let's take the P&I payment times 12 months. All right, this one over here, let's take the P&I payment times 16 months. All right, now that we have the 16-month and we have our offering amount, now we can say, okay, this number, if they just start paying, what's our ROI? If we pay 219 for the note and they bring 12 months of payments for the first 12 months, the bare minimum, this is what the yield would be. About a 10% cash and cash return, right? Yeah, it's about 10% yield if they start paying. They bring 16 months to the table, divide what we offer, it's about a 13%. Okay. You guys understand how we got that? This is what our offering roughly as far as market offering. Maybe you go down, maybe you go up. And that's how you kind of adjust this stuff. Like, oh, 10%, they're further behind than that. I want to adjust my bid down a little bit. But this gives you an idea, quick run numbers. So you can take a look at, maybe identify the better deals, the bigger discounts, the the workout aspect. Now, of course, everybody in here is at least 4 months behind at this point. Okay. So that's not so bad. So now what we'll do is we're going to copy this for formulas, and then we're going to copy it down for the rest of the spreadsheet we have. Remember, we took out the REOs on here because you're not modding. It's just basically you're going to be purchasing that property. That's why I went and figured in 65%. And we can figure in a REO profit later on or whatever. And so what I'm doing is I'm copying all the way down for the entire spreadsheet. You're going to have to go back and pull your values, right? Zero, 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 zero. Okay, perfect. Okay. Now, like some of these, 12-month P&I. Let's look at this one here. This one intrigues me. So they have their value is way down. Where's this one located at? McLeansville, North Carolina. Original balance 678. Their legal balance is 724. The property's only worth $300,000 now. All right. Give or take about 300 grand. Let's see what it looks like. McLeansville. Is that where they say it's out in the middle of nowhere? Okay, so currently vacant lot last sold. Oh, so yeah, so it's worth about 400, but give or take. So this is 3 bedrooms, 0 bath. It's 33 acres. Man, probably it's undeveloped. Well, there you go. That might be something to take a look at. See all 7 photos. Is that the property? Okay, let's do this. Let's go back here and click on this. And let's do satellite. All right, so it's 33 acres. You got something out there. There's gonna be a home of some sort. Heck yeah, I might be moving to North Carolina. 33 acres with a house. I'm out. I become the Unabomber. No, not the Unabomber, but Ted Kaczynski living in a cabin in the woods. It's a little cold out there right now. They're getting snow. All right, but that might be something to take a look at. I'm gonna highlight that one. Okay. All right. Let's look at a different one here. 23%. This one, they got negative equity. Vacaville. Well, I'm not going to go into California. What the hell? Let's look at Vacaville. Share over here. There you go. So here's the prop 749 Oatme. Yep. I looked at this one before, I think. I recognize it. That's it right there. And that's from 2022. Let's go back here. Oh, it's got a pending offer on it right now. So it's 265 is the value pending. Somebody may be trying to buy it. Okay, that's fine. So if we go back here, it's maybe not too crazy a deal. What did it tell us to make an offer at 265? Okay. If you bought it at 197, it's selling for 265 and it's got a pending offer, you could step into like a $60,000 profit margin because they owe more. It's like a short sale. You buy the note, approve the short sale, and you technically, if it's got an offer at 265, let's just take 10% off 265, 20%, 20 grand off. So, or 26 grand off just for the heck of it means 235. We'll just say that you're buying at 197. Yeah, you make 40 grand on a short sale offering. That's not a bad deal. It's not going to be a mod, obviously, because they're trying to sell the property, but that could also be a potential profit. We'll just highlight that. You get what I'm saying with that, ladies and gentlemen? You can do a short sale. You buy the note at 197. They owe 750. But they've got a potential buyer on it at 265. Great. You approve the short sale. They close. Boom. You just made 40 to 50 grand stepping yourself in the middle by buying that note. So that might be something to take a look at. Let's go up here a little bit further up. Okay. So yeah, NPN foreclosure. You see it's NPN foreclosure. They're looking, yeah, see they're foreclosing on that one. Okay. I think there's some opportunity here. All right, let's go up here. All right, so that gives you a bit of an idea. Yeah, some of these you're going to adjust. I want to look for something, depending on where they're at, how many months behind they are. Like this is the number I'm really looking for. Because the way to look at it, if they're 4 months behind and you get them to get caught back up after 12 months, so this is your year one, really kind of year one ROI if they bring 4 months extra to the table. And then this would be year two going before. So I like to try to find something that's going to be a good year two. So like this one's not bad the first year. They get back on track. They're performing after year one. Boom, is still making 13%. So if you can go find folks that have 7, 8% money, guess what? That's not a bad day, right? Now this one here, let's just look at this. Where is this one? This is, I got some equity. This is in Tyler, Texas. Okay, let's look at this one in Tyler. Ooh. Oh, okay. This is June 2022. Okay. It's probably got some ownership, it's not so bad. They got some plants. They got some pride of ownership. It's not so bad. They got some equity in this thing, though. They probably don't want to lose it, right? I mean, look at the neighborhood. Yeah, it's in a little older neighborhood in Tyler, Texas. That could be worse. That shows me somebody's motivated to stay there, right? So if we go back here to this spreadsheet, this one in Tyler, Texas, non-performing. The original balance is 72. They owe 43. 47 is what's owed. We make an offer at 38. You might make a little bit less than that in the value. Oh, what did we see the value was? Sorry. What did they say the value was on this? Let's go back. Value on this was 214. Yeah, they got a lot of equity. They don't want to lose this thing. All right, so going over here. Making an offer at 38. Yeah, you say, okay, bring your. Yeah, see the monthly payments, P9 is only 398. They're behind. Ooh, they're behind by 10 months. Yeah, coming up on that. Okay, yeah, 10 months behind. So if you could get them, I mean, that would be a pretty good year one. Hey, can you bring some extra to the table? So for the first year, if they bring 4 months extra, I would actually try to get them to bring them back. You could have a 17% yield the first year. And after that, it's 13% or greater. Okay. That's not a bad little deal there for 40 grand. potentially keep somebody in their house. If they just make 12 months of payments, okay, they just start repaying, you're going to see at least a 13% ROI. Judy, this might be something to think about making an offer on for you. I know Judy's on here right now. And Tyler's a fast foreclosure state, and there's a ton of equity there. So you're likely to sell at the auction. Now you step in an asset that's worth 200 grand. It's probably got some stuff in it that might be a little need to update, but that's potentially, that's kind of what you're talking about. You were just thinking that. Great minds think alike. Thank you, Judy. So that would be one. I mean, that's with it's like that you guys, you got you got an IRA. There you go. Make an offer through your IRA. We don't mind doing that. Legal balance is 47. Okay. Probably a little bit higher. They got a ton of equity. They probably want to stay and go from there. Okay. Let's look down here a little bit. See some other ones that are at that point. 17, 12, 12, 13, 15, and 11. Let's see here, 13. And, guys, 80% of legal balance, maybe you need to go 75. Maybe you need to go 70 to make those numbers work a little bit for you. I don't know what your money, like these where it's at 7%, that just doesn't make any sense for me to make an offer on that, right? Like the 7% one, where is it? Look, if they've got 100 grand in equity, it's Berlin, Connecticut, it's an NPN, it's probably a longer foreclosure time frame on it, depending on how many months. Let's see how many months behind these things are. This guy is. Yeah, because it's got a lower interest rate. That's right at 5.13. Oh, see, this is the one that's 76 months behind. Yeah, you're going to foreclose on that. There you go. You're going to foreclose on that and not. Okay, so yeah. Okay. So then what you could go back in here, that would be a better, that's more of a foreclosure. I'm not worried about, yeah, I'm more interested in this one. I would be foreclosing, if I offer at, there we go, 240, and they've got some equity. So they got 26% equity, which is 109. Yeah. So 240, and it's worth 406. That's 100, $60,000 at the foreclosure auction because you bought it at 240. Legal balance is about 300 plus. So it sells at the auction, great. You make 60 grand. If it doesn't sell at the auction, now you have a property worth 406 that you're into it at 240. So you're technically in it at 60 cents on the dollar then. And that's a pretty good day. Turn around and list the property, see what this one looks like. In Berlin, Connecticut. Oh, look at this property. It's on the MLS for 400 grand. Accepting backups. I haven't seen that. Accepting backups. We don't know if this is a strong offer. But, I mean, you got some photos. It's a pretty good property. It means somebody's a motivated seller to sell this dang thing, right? So if we go back to our spreadsheet and they want it, they're just trying to get the dang thing sold. That's what they're looking for. They realize like how many months behind. This could be a potential one as well. You got a motivated seller on that one, right? $399. Trying to make 100 grand on the thing. So they owe 83 grand in back payments. They haven't paid that one in a while. And they figure the value on this one, AVM on it is 407. So it's about right. Yeah. Okay. Is that making sense so far on the kind of thing they're looking at, making sure your numbers make sense? And what I will do for you guys that here are on Zoom that join me live, I'll go like I did last time, and I'll upload my spreadsheet the full updates, formulas, and all that stuff back into Drive, and then I'll send you the link to that Drive file so you have all my formulas and stuff like that for you. Okay. So you don't have to go back and rinse and repeat the wheel. Okay. Okay, so let's do this now. So we've got the non-performing. Let's do this. The REOs I will get to in a second. Actually, REO should be pretty easy to fix. So let's just go in here and look at REOs. All right. Next strategy, REO. You have your offering. Okay, so offering, let's do how we want to do this. So, um, insert a column, REO, we'll just say profit. And that's going to be your offering. So these are all 65. Yeah, so that's going to be your AVM. He's equal to your AVM minus your offering. No, that's not figuring any type of rehab. I don't know how to do. I'm not gonna. Don't know what kind of conditioning years they're in. So you would want to search these individually, like that one. Hey, if it's in great condition, it's listed. Why not jump on it? Because you get into your photos. All right. Net profit, and we're just gonna say gross profit ROI. So is equal to be that minus or divided by your offering. And these should all be somewhere in that vicinity around 50%. Because you're buying it at 65, you got a third, 35 divided by 65 should all be about 54%. I bet the numbers tell me the truth all the way down here. Let's see. Yeah, what did I say? 54%. Where it says divide by 0 because you don't have an offering amount. Okay. See, it's pretty easy. And those would be like taking a look at, let's look at one in here. Let's just for the heck of it. A Johnson City, Tennessee one. What the hell? Share. Yeah, so it's this house. It's a mobile home manufactured on the side of the hill. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Got a flag. Can't be in that bad, really that bad shape. So let's go back over here and look and see if we got a listing for it. 125,000. They give the value of that. Sold for 125. Um, sold for 125. I bet it. Let's go back here. Share. Says it sold for 125. Original balance. Yeah. Maybe it sold at the auction. Who knows? If you see that it sold recently, then hey, you move on from there. But that's potential one there. Maybe a quick REO, depending on where Johnson City. If we go back to Johnson City, let's see the map. Let's go back here, back to the map. Okay. I think Johnson City is south of Nashville. Maybe it's quite a bit further. I don't think. Oh, so it's not. It's not south. It's way east. It's closer. It's east of Knoxville. It's on the. It's not so bad. South of Kingsport. It's kind of. I mean, I don't know how big Johnson City, Tennessee is. I mean, that's another thing you would want to run numbers to see how big an area is. Population for Johnson City. Let's look at that real fast. Population. Oh, look at Johnson City, Tennessee. I mean, what's it doing? Okay. Okay, Johnson City, 73,000. City's currently growing annual rate of roughly less than 1%. Okay. Surprising, eighth most populous city in Tennessee. Okay, so it's not. Yeah, maybe take a look at it. You have talk to a realtor out there. Okay, that's a potential. If it's available, if it has sold, it just sold. Well, let's see. When did they say the sale was? they give us a date. Sold for, oh, see, sold for 79.8 on 6/30. You got two sales prices on here. That's weird. Oh, listing. Interesting. Oh, so maybe it didn't sell and the owner financed it. Maybe. So it sold on July 30th. Maybe it's sold. Maybe it's not available. Anyway, I'd make a low ball offer anyway and just see what this is going against. All right. So now that we have, okay, so we have the REO calculated there. Okay, so let's go over to our sub-twos. This is probably going to take a little bit more of time to focus on. Okay, so our sub-twos, we're going to take this all the way to the far side over here because we're going to add some columns to this stuff, okay? All right, sub-two. We know we have the numbers that they're behind on, right? So what we're going to say is if we take the fair market value, let's just take 10% down payment FMV. So whatever the fair market value is, we're asking for a 10% down payment, okay? And this is going to be, then that's going to leave us with a 90% loan amount. And this is going to be your interest only payment. And we're saying 9.9%. Okay. And this is going to be our net cash flow down. So how much do we make when they bring the 10% down payment? Obviously, we got to pay off the underlying months behind to get back in arrears and go from there. Okay. And then this is going to be our net, net monthly cash flow. And that's basically taking the difference between what the underlying P&I payment is and our 9.9% interest only monthly payment is. Okay. Once we have that, we can add those numbers up. So that's what we have. We're going to figure out these numbers real fast. So this is pretty easy. What's 10% down payment of the fair market value? So we're just going to go over to the fair market value, the AVM value times 0.1, right? Boom. Pretty easy. Now we're going to go over and do, okay, what's the AVM times 0.9, 0.9, okay? So make a loan amount for 509.40. So then we're going to take this number and say, okay, what's that number times, if we figure times 0.099. So basically paying 50 grand a year at 10% interest roughly. And then we're going to put formula brackets around it, quotation, and then divide that number by 12 months. So there's our interest only payment at 9.9% on a $509,000 loan. That's a monthly basis. Perfect. Okay. Now the net cash flow down is going to be our down payment minus, let's go over and take our months behind. Where's our month behind balance? Back payments due. Okay. He's enter. So they owe 3 grand, well, net 53. And then our net monthly cash flow, this is going to be equal to our 4,200 a month of what we're receiving from the subject to buyer, owner finance buyer, minusing their monthly P&I payment. Tax and insurance are going to transfer over. So this one got quite a bit of value to it, right? 509, it's worth 560. They only owe, on this one, they only owe 101. Oh, it's Idaho. It's probably you're not going to have to. You probably have to pay them a cash chunk on that. But that's Idaho. Okay. Well, yeah, let's look at a different one here. Let's copy these down and we look at different things. All right. So now we got all these formulas in here for these. Control C. Actually, let's do this. So gross net year one profit is equal to that. Oops. Insert one more column here. 12-month cash flow. We'll be taking this monthly payment times 12 months. There we go. That's better. And then this is going to be that plus our net cash flow down. There we go. All right. Copy these formulas all the way down these for these sub-twos. This really is the biggest chunk of these things with the sub-two aspect. Making sure I did the sub-two. Yep, sub-twos. And that's what we're figuring. So, okay, if we own our finance at fair market value, get required 10% down payment, we pay off the underlying 2, 3, 4 months behind AR. We're carrying a 90% interest only loan at 9.9% difference. We're making monthly cash flow. I think that's it. Yeah. Control V. Boom. Assuming they don't have a value, we got to go back and figure values on these. Okay, so now you've got some numbers on this stuff. Now you can figure this out. And now that these are sub-twos, we don't want negative monthly cash flow, right? So on the sub-two side, we can look at where's our biggest bang for the buck. And you got a lot of these are pretty good size because they're further behind, right? Well, they bring 71 grand, like this one, 71 grand. It's worth 700. Let's go down to a little bit more. Okay, let's just do this one here. So they bring 25 grand down. All right. You're carrying 227. Their payment to you is 1878. They're about 5 grand behind, so you net, 20 grand between the down payment, and you're netting a difference of 1190 a month, which equals to 14 grand a year. And your 14 grand a year month of positive cash flow plus the 20 grand you have left over equals 34,000 in profit. So let's see where this one is located. So this is in Philadelphia. Original balance is, current balance is 100. They owe about 105. Equity is 147. Oh, why do we don't have an offering on this thing? FHA did not have a value on this thing. Oh, because it's a sub-two. That's what it is. You probably have to make some. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so their back payments are due by 4,800. Yeah, that's what it is. So P&I 688. Let's see how there are 7 months behind. That's about right. Okay. And loss mitigation. Value of the property is at 253. And give or take a little bit. Let's look here. When's the origination date on this thing? Oh, and this new tape, it's even got some new information as far as January. Oh, that's good. I forgot about that. When did they buy this property? They bought it. Full doc. Oh, man, they bought it in February of last year. They haven't been into it for a first. Yeah, they're behind. Yeah, quite a bit. They bought it a year ago and then paid through July. They stopped paying in August. So something happened. They refinanced it. Well, they only owe, where's the balance of that? Let's see what it looks like. Oh, here we go. It's a condo. It's a row house. Okay, well, let's go back here. Yeah, all right. Not bad. I mean, Philadelphia's got a lot of these. Doesn't look like it's a bad neighborhood. Pride of ownership. Yeah, okay. Yeah, just falling behind. I'm gonna get out of a bad situation. Now you bought this a year ago, and now you're facing foreclosure. I always like these little yards like that. It's always kind of, and somebody's got, yeah, see, it's a good little neighborhood. What did they give us the value on this thing? Just for the heck. 184. So they don't have as much equity as expected, but they're behind. Yeah. So that could be a potential sub-2 deal. You know, I don't really think it's a non-performing side of things. I mean, they're beyond 6 months. Yeah, we could potentially make an offer on that. And if you get back on track, you can run some numbers for that. So yeah, it's yeah, sub-2 fixed. 7 months behind. They're right at that cusp. 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so you're at that cusp. If you made an offer on that, estimated legal balance because they do have some equity on that. Yeah, let's see here. Equity should be 80% of legal balance. Yeah. So let's run that up here. 80% of legal balance. Question here from somebody. Yeah, so Judy, that's a great question. Judy asks if they haven't been making payments, how then do they come up with the payments to get back on track? So you never know, because here's the thing is you don't know what happened. Do they lose their job? Are they out of work? Most lenders are going to want people to bring their full amount that they're back due on, right? 7 months. That's can you bring 7 months to the table? Don't. Okay. I don't have 7 months, but I can start making a double payment. All right. I can start making some payment. I mean, I have 7 months. And that's the whole thing we look at in the due diligence. Hey, what caused them to fall behind? Job loss, death in the family. What's the situation? If there was job loss and they started working again and they're making enough payments for it, great. Let's get them back on track. If they don't have that money to get back on track, then it's to talk about, okay, let's talk about a deed in lieu, cash for keys. You know, and it all depends what the lender wants on this one. This one, if the lender wants, it might make sense to do this. Let's run some numbers on this. Okay. So let's just do these here because I didn't do it earlier. So these are the sub-2. So if you were to offer, since all of these have basically equity, let's do this. So let's go here to make it simple. Let's do sub-2s and NPNs. All right, so we have our off, yeah, so 80% of legal balance. Okay. So we can copy these formulas all the way down now. Okay. There we go. All right, so let's do this. We're going to do this. Hit Shift, Escape, Control C, and these formulas should all stay the same. There we go. Oops, it's 80%. Okay, let's get back here. There we go. Okay. So now let's go to the sub twos that we just pulled and just talk about that. All right. So Philadelphia, where I was born and raised on the playgrounds, is where I spent most of my days. There we go, right there, 1226. Okay. So if you were to buy this note, they owe estimated legal balance is 105. You may have offered 84. They started making payments on time. It'd be 10% year over year two. If they brought 4 months at the time, the first year, it'd be 13% yield. It might not be a bad buying the note at that. I'd want them to try to make the full 17 months, or not 17 months, but 7 plus 12 would be 19 months. Could be a good yield the first year, and after that, it's 10%. But honestly, I think that's probably more of if they, and that's the thing. Look at the description notes, Judy. You make a bunch of offers on stuff, and if it doesn't hit what your category is on that stuff, like to say this one, this one might make, they've got some equity, let's have you sell the property or foreclose if it doesn't make sense to sub two. Okay. If the seller is willing to accept an offer of 84, if they don't offer an 84, they come back, oh, we want like 100. Well, that's stupid. I'm not going to offer you 100. I would then target the sub two side of things. Okay. And that's where, if you go over here to the math, as I always say, is let's look at if you're looking at the sub twos, start looking at that 50 to 60,000, 25 and beyond, like this one down here. Let's see. Did we do this one already? Oh, or is that, no, that's not it. Okay. So let's look at this one here. It's a different one. That's Philadelphia. Okay. So let's just say 34,000. That's PA. So you get a lot of these in. Oh, okay, so I have this filtered for Pennsylvania. No wonder. Okay, let's look at now. Okie dokie. So 30, let's just do one and say like 30 grand. 30 grand, 800. Okay. This one is located in Bryson City, North Carolina. They owe 101. They owe 103. They've got a ton of equity. Yeah, they may not. Yeah. All that equity may not. Let's just look and see what's going on with this asset. Oh, wait, man, let's look at Katy, Texas. This is easier. Okay, Katy, Texas. That's by Houston. Okay. Original balance is 312, 311. They got 200 grand in equity because Katy's gone up quite a bit. Okay. So we make an offer at 80% legal balance. That's 257. Legal balance is 321. So you make 54 grand if you foreclose on. If they want to start making payments on, it's only a 12% return. They bring 16 months stable. That doesn't make any sense, right? So you got a little bit of equity, but not much. Maybe it makes more sense for us to take over payments and give them. So let's look at this. So somebody always asks me like Judy, you asked me before, what do you do if they've got equity and they want equity? Well, let's look at our monthly cash flow basis. I say, okay, you got 100 grand in equity, or you negotiate it down. You got net monthly cash flow of 1934. Could you give them $1,000 a month for their equity? Yeah, I'll give you $1,000 a month on your 100 grand equity. We'll do that for 3 years or something like that. You get what I'm saying? You could do a second note on the property for that and pay them off. Pay off a chunk of their equity. So that's something to look at. And go that route. Any questions on this stuff, guys? But that's the take. That's kind of looking at diving into it, making your offers, evaluating deals. There's a lot to look at here. Whatever your flavor is, it is, and that's completely a-okay. Let's look at the BK stuff on here. I don't know if I went through that or not. NPN BK. Yeah, that's going to be more of a reinstatement on stuff like that. So, all right, guys and gals, that is all I have. I've run the course here for 2 hours for you here on a Saturday. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Like you said, you joined us live here on Zoom. I'll be sending you the link to the updated spreadsheet with everything on there for you to take a look at, dive into it. Feel free to make a phone call with me at talkwithscottcarson.com. I'll be available Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week. Headed down to Corpus Wednesday night, and I'll be tied up Thursday and Friday down there. But if you want to, this is an opportunity, guys, for you to make a look at some deals. You know, make an offer. Make one offer at least to get the ball rocking and rolling, you know, and go from there. That's all I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, is take the time, dive in this, start making offers. There's so many opportunities available. Yes, there's 3,000 deals. You don't have to make an offer on 3,000. Make an offer on one, but make it right. And don't send me an offer at 25 cents a dollar for an REO. Just doesn't make sense for that, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, be smart. On these non-performing stuff, don't make it an offer where it's going to be a 25% cash and cash return for you. They're not going to accept that. So let's play in reality, not la la land. Okay? So we're here to help. Reach out to me, book a phone call, talkwithscottcarson.com. If you're on Zoom, guys, chance for you to go over to notenightinamerica.com, register. I'll then send you the link to the spreadsheet for you guys. And so just watching and lurking on YouTube, let's get you making some deals. Let's get you looking at some stuff and get the ball rocking and rolling to make sure that your 2026 is off to a much better start and take advantage of the opportunities that are available. I'm excited. I'm tickled pink. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff here. Obviously, not only on the non-performing side, but also on the sub-2 stuff. The stuff that makes sense. We're going to be dropping out letters to the bars. Hey, you're facing foreclosure. We see that you're behind. You know, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to go and spend time and skip trace the borrowers and the owners of the appraisal districts. I'm going to focus on Austin first in the local area here, and then Texas. And then I'm going to expand out, like I said, to Indiana, some of the bigger cities like in Ohio, like Columbus, Ohio. You know, that's a favorite market. I might even look at some stuff in Florida, Southwest Florida, like Miami in the neck of the woods, because that's still some stuff out that neck of the woods that makes sense. I like Southwest Florida, Cape Coral, Fort Myers. I don't think the opportunities are there yet. I don't think the values have dropped as far as they go, but there's opportunities to be had, ladies and gentlemen. So let's dive into those opportunities. Let's make it a great year for you. Make sure you check out the most recent episodes of the Note Closer Show. Got a lot of great stuff on there. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. And we'll see you guys at the top, everybody. Bye. Thanks, Judy. Talk to you later.